Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our panel discussion named Circular Economy and Islamic Finance, a framework for innovation and sustainable development, as a part of the conference on Islamic moral economy. Namely, Islamic finance is a natural partner for the circular economy due to its strong alignment with sustainability and ethical principles. The circular economy, which aims to minimize waste and keep resources in use, contrasts with the traditional linear take, make, dispose model. We have 4 panelists with us, distinguished experts in the field, who will give us a detailed insight with regards to this topic. Our format will be simple, actually the same as every panel before. Firstly, I will briefly introduce each of our panelists, respectively, read a short biography, and then pose a question, and we will have 2 rounds of questions, and at the end, a Q&A session. My name is Amina, and I will serve as your moderator. Without further ado, let us begin with our discussion. Our first panelist is Professor Šemsudin. He is a professor of management and IT from Novi, Pazar, Serbia, with 2 doctorates and over 100 publications. He founded the Center for the Application of New Technologies and coordinates the Regional Innovation Smart City Center. Since 2023, he leads the Link Education Alliance Entrepreneurship Unit, supporting startups and innovative education. Professor Plojović, building on your research, how has the city of Sarajevo used digital tools to reduce food waste, and what impact have these tools had?
Well, thank you very much. Firstly, the question is, how did we get to the situation that we have to reduce food waste? And that's we were talking about that a little bit earlier, about what are our everyday activities and what are our everyday values and how are we spending resources. And we didn't try to solve the hard part of the problem, or the challenge, and that is to change how people behave on spending money on their resources on food. We just took to solve the easier part, how to manage the food waste. And we thought that with today's everything is connected with the digitalization of different processes. So we try to digitalize the process of you as a household and as a restaurant or as a company who want to apply for, to report that you have food that you don't intend to use anymore, and that is usable, and that can be reused in some process, and also that is not usable, that can be in the future be part of the compostization process in the deposit of the where you can deposit the food for the compost organic waste, and in that waste that is food. So it's we propose and implement a small application. You can apply as an individual, as a company, as a restaurant, and report whatever you have at the end of the shift and at the end of the day, and our vehicle will come and take it and grab it, and will take it in the way that is we are minimizing the fuel, the pot, and the efforts that our vehicle need to spend just to collect the food waste.
Okay, thank you very much for your valuable insight. Our second panelist is Professor Almir. He is a scholar of Islamic sciences with extensive academic and teaching experience. He holds a PhD and MA in Islamic sciences from the International University in Novi, Pazar, and an MA in Islamic banking from Bolton University in cooperation with the Faculty of Economics in Sarajevo. He has memorized the entire Quran and is certified by the Islamic community of Bosnia and Herzegovina. He currently serves as a lecturer and course leader in Islamic theology and philosophy at the Faculty of Islamic Studies in Novi, Pazar, focusing on Islamic banking, interfaith dialogue, and moral economy. Professor PRAMENKOVIĆ, in what ways does fintech differ from traditional technologies, technological applications in financial institutions, and why is it considered a disruptive force?
Thank you for having me. To start with, the question of financial technological innovation is extremely important and very timely topic. It is robust kind of word, it is buzzword that everyone is talking about nowadays. So we are definitely talking about the project, the trend that has been evolving, and it is taking hold and it is here to stay whether we like it or not. So let me first elaborate and explain what fintech is all about before moving on to further elaborate on asked question. So fintech is composed of two words, fin, which is finance, and tech, which is technology. So we're talking about certain sort of union between finance and technology. And nowadays almost all institutions are using some sort of technology. So what does make fintech so different? Why is it so appealing? So when we are talking about fintech, we are, in its current form, we are not talking about, it's not just about adopting technology, it's rather about adopting technology which causes digital transformation, meaning the way that products and services are engaged. So we are talking about moving and shifting from traditional way of services and using innovative and disruptive services. So what we mean by innovative and disruptive? By innovative, we mean something that is new, something that is uncommon, whereas by disruptive, we mean something that is challenging, disturbing, and it is challenging traditional way products and services are being provided. So it is technology being employed to provide services, but in innovative way where the costs are much less, the impact is more scalable, and services are more streamlined. So we are talking about completely new way to engage in market, with customers, with stakeholders, etc. So we are talking about something that is connecting suppliers much faster and customers. We are talking about, you know, the speed that all these process has been carried out. When we look at mobile banking, which is one of the features of fintech and payment system, we can see almost in every country that major banks close down many of their branches because people no longer need to go to bank, to physical premises of the bank and conduct their businesses over there. And personally, I wouldn't be surprised the slightest, let's say in a 10-15 years, give or take, something along those lines, to see only one branch of certain banks, or the banks will turn into digital banks, perhaps without physical, tangible premises, and which indicates that nowadays, which is very common, people purchase their goods on Alibaba, on Temu, on Amazon, and we are talking definitely about these platforms are growing, and we are talking about the trend that is really growing. And if we find it difficult to move with technology, we will be left behind. So it is very important for academic society and let's say Sharia scholars or experts in Islamic Sharia law dealing with these subjects, which we like talk a bit in greater details in second part perhaps, in order to fully grasp and to have a sound grasp of financial technological innovation, because the most leading literature on fintech appeared in 2016, whereas fintech itself was launched in 2007, 2008, which indicates that academic society, Sharia scholars, industry players have been outpaced by fintech in many areas. So that will be, in a nutshell, all for me concerning this very first question.
Okay, thank you. Our third panelist is Professor Eldin DOBARDŽIĆ. He is an associate professor of economics and finance at the University of Novi Pazar. Alongside his academic career, he has held leadership roles in corporate governance, including president of the board of directors at Airports of Montenegro and external advisor to MIH Holding Fiber Optic GmbH in Germany, focusing on financial strategy, capital markets, and international expansion. Professor DOBARDŽIĆ, which countries are considered the key drivers for the international development and future growth of Islamic finance?
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to congratulate organizers for this very big event, for not only for this university and this city, I will tell for whole region. Why not? Because, as you know, we heard about Islamic finance, but we don't have possibilities to hear about it from the international experts. So I know that it's very difficult to organize that. So congratulations, Haris, Suad, and all other people which was involved in this conference. I'm proud to be the part of it, and I will continue with answering on your question. When we spoke about key countries, drivers, everything what is connected, when we want to select it, who are the biggest and who have the potential to grow, there are a few criteria for that. First of all is, of course, market size of Islamic finance, then potential to grow, as I mentioned, and of course how strong some countries have the impact on the global finances. It is one kind, I will say, said that we have, for example, the most of the Gulf countries and Arab countries who have the big oil reserve and they have a big liquidity that they don't have much more bigger impact on global finances. It is a very, very big potential. This is also one step for this region. I don't see the director of BBI, maybe he can consider it in the future, as colleague and Professor PLOJOVIĆ told, how, for example, Novi Pazar could have some connection with Islamic finance, not only by the conference, something concretely that they can make maybe decision to open some bank in Novi Pazar. That will be the first step. We have the people here, we have the people in Islam who are practicing Islam, and I think that will be good step for them and for Islamic finance on the local level. As I said, that three criteria, we have actually three parts of Islamic finance and countries who are the part of them. There is the first one is traditional hubs, the second one are emerging markets, and the third one is the global centers for finance. In the first part of Islamic finance, that traditional hubs are covered by, on the first place, Saudi Arabia, of course. Before that, I will say that is the market size of the Islamic finance, accordingly to some numbers which I get from S&P 500, it's about $5 and $6 trillion at 2025, with the potential to grow to the end of 2030 to 10 trillion. So potential is a very, very big. As I said, Saudi Arabia is traditional and for using Sharia compliance and everything which is connected with Islamic finance, one of the biggest bank. We will use, we spoke before this beginning, that term bank in Islamic is not Islamic terminology. We use that from the other civilization or other religions, how on. But when we spoke bank, we always have that definition that the bank actually works with people. Some people believe in that principle, some people don't believe, and then don't use that banks because they are not in according to their life or religion principles. So that is the very big potential. In the world now lives 1.5 billion Muslim people. So when you put that onto some paper and that potential with that oil countries, Gulf Persian, you have a very big area for future supply for that people to open, I don't know, some kind of Islamic institution. That could be bank, of course, that could be some other institution, I don't know, like some stock markets, for example, which will be work with sukuk. It is a similar term for the bonds. And I think that we don't use it on that potential. I said Saudi Arabia. On the second place is Malaysia. He is the positive example how actually Islamic finance could be used in the whole country. And I think one of our participants, I think Professor Smolo told about it, how Malaysia actually improved that in every day. And they have actually some agenda to use Islamic finance in the whole country. They have the best legal framework for it because it is necessary, you know, when you change something, when you want to use for all of us. For example, when this who are rules, the rules will put us digital value, they need to change legal framework. And they will do it in some time. So when you want to use, for example, Islamic finance and everything which is connected with that, especially that principles, you need to change legal framework. It is very difficult, but you need to prepare people for that. So I think Sarah talked about it. We need to promote. Before that, we need to educate. I heard some things for the first time. It's not shame, you know. It's not shame to don't know something, but it's shame not to learn. We have possibilities for that, and if you don't know about it, you cannot understand it, and you will have a problem to accept it. The third country is United Arab Emirates. Is they call them the central country for Islamic economy, with Dubai as a center. And the last one is Bahrain, where is actually the most of the banks which are work with Islamic finances are situated in Bahrain. The second groups are emerging markets. I will put the focus on that because in that analysis which I read, according to the CAGR ratio, compound aggregate growth ratio, from this year to 2030, Indonesia, which is the part of this market, will have the biggest growth, 10%. The second one is Saudi Arabia, the third one is Nigeria, and the fourth one is Turkey. So three of four these countries which I mentioned are in the group of emerging markets. Indonesia, where is the most popular retail economy based on Islamic finances. And as you know, there is Indonesia is the biggest Muslim country in the world, so it's huge potential for Islamic finances. The second one is Turkey, of course, also one of the biggest, close to 100 million people, big potential. They have very serious steps in that directions to develop Islamic finances. Then we have also Nigeria, which is, there is also the business with sukuk, Islamic sukuk or Islamic bonds have a potential to growth. And the fourth one is the Pakistan also. Emerging markets also have a big potential, have a good legal framework, and government are thinking that Pakistan is ready in the next years to implement the full Islamic finances in the whole country. I forget to tell that Malaysia have more than 50% of the whole Islamic sukuk, Islamic bonds, market capitalization are Malaysia actually issued, you know. And the third one, third part, which is interesting because we are located here in Europe, is countries which are the global financial centers. I think colleague Selimovic told that in November will be one congress in London. London is as a financial center of the whole world. Also have some actions. There is actually a very big investment fund which are working according to Islamic finance. There is also Luxembourg. They have some industry where is some Islamic sukuk are listed on their markets. And we also have in the Asia, there are Hong Kong and Singapore as also one of the biggest financial centers which are started to work with Islamic paper, certificates, sukuk, and they are actually, as you know, world are changing very fast, and something which is now in the West, maybe for 10 or 15 years, will be at the East, at that area, and they know important to have connections with Arab and Muslim community and people, and they have a plan to be the hub for Islamic finances. So that's all for that question.
Okay, very good, thank you. Our fourth panelist is Professor ZOGIĆ. He's a finance professional and entrepreneur with a successful 11-year international career. He possesses deep expertise in financial analysis and modeling, sales, banking, and Islamic finance. He is highly educated, holding degrees from Bolton University in finance, Islamic finance, banking, and management, complemented by certification programs from Harvard Business School and the FMBA designation. With extensive experience in leading financial operations, advisory, and banking services, he has successfully managed financial strategies for more than 250 corporate clients. He is a recognized expert, evidenced by his numerous professional public appearances on economic and financial matters. Professor ZOGIĆ, given your research into Islamic finance and venture capital, and acknowledging that Islamic finance theory advocates for partnership models to fund the economy, how can we leverage digital platforms to significantly increase the practical usage of these partnership models?
Yes, thank you very much for the kind introduction. And yeah, we have this big debate that we had a couple of hours ago in the first panel session as well. The difference between theory and practice. Theoretically, the purest models of Islamic finance are partnership models. We have active and passive partnership. We are calling them in Arabic words, I mean musharaka and mudaraba. While also we have debt-based models such as murabaha, which is based on the trade, and ijara, which is based on rent or leasing. What is the red flag here is that Islamic financial institutions, mainly Islamic banks, are mostly using debt-based models to finance their clients. So more than 80% of Islamic banks' portfolio relies on murabaha. Why? Because in the practice it is really hard to implement partnership models because of many reasons. First of all, we have profit maximization strategy from the banks, because I worked in an Islamic bank in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I worked in a corporate sector, and the only metrics that we were judged by was the number of financings disbursed, the number of clients, the number of accounting payables, receivables, and so on. So, I mean, there is no metrics such as ethics, Islamic finance, only profit maximization. So, this is why we have institutions that want to maximize their profits. This is normal, but not at all cost. And in this situation, we have partnership models that are not used in the practice. During my research, I found that people are not eager to enter partnerships. You know, it is very hard to retain the partnership between two people, for example, establishing a company. You know, and imagine the situation where a bank comes to the same level as a client to be a client's partner. So it is very hard to implement in the practice. So what can we do is actually maybe move the focus from Islamic banking or from Islamic banks to some new opportunities that are emerging, especially when it comes with the new technologies. For example, we can use it to build platforms to enhance investments, to match startups with investors, maybe to present to people, and this is what I did in my research, that models such as equity crowdfunding and venture capital are almost the same as partnership models in Islamic finance. Of course, we have to do some adjustments, but you know, if we implement those, this is the way how can we, let's say, support partnership models rather than debt-based. If you ask me, are Islamic banks going to move closer to partnership models? No, it will never happen. This is the reality. But can we invent something new, or can we, how to say, bring up some new platforms or opportunities to use partnership models to enhance investments? Yes, we can. Venture capital is the model that was used when the Silicon Valley giants and companies were built. And if you have an investor who is ready to invest in 10 companies, with the knowledge that 8 of those 10, or 7, 8 of those 10 companies will collapse, but 2 or 3 of them will survive, then bring more profits that he invested initially, then we can probably build up some new platforms where we can match investors and potential business startups or businessmen. So what do we need to do here is, as we mentioned in the very first panel, is to educate. So education or the lack of knowledge is really problematic. What I used to say as well, when we talk about Islamic finance, it is like something totally different than everyday finance. It is not. So if you go to the grocery shop and you buy a good and you pay transparently, and the seller is giving you the good that is transparent, so you conducted the transaction that is in compliance, or that is correct according to Islamic finance. So this is not totally different. You know, we have problems with interest, we have problems with monopoly, we have problems with gharar, which is the high level of uncertainty, but Islamic finance is not something totally new or different. We have models that work in practice and that are in accordance with Islamic finance, and we should use them. But we should move the focus from Islamic banks to investment funds, to investments, and to businesses, because this is where partnerships happen. They will never happen in Islamic banks.
Thank you. Once again, Professor PLOJOVIĆ, your work mentions both economic and environmental challenges and positive aspects of implementing circular economy programs. What specific economic benefits has Sarajevo seen from its sustainable food consumption projects, and can it be applied to, for example, Novi Pazar?
Yes, it can be applied. Firstly, the city of Sarajevo and all its citizens at the beginning had a very good results, and we have learned a lot. And one of those, it's what he have learned, maybe said through the one sentence of the ancient poet Horace, who said that the perfect man is justum et tenacem proposti virum. Justum et tenacem means that you have a good will, but we are not proposti virum. We are not sustainable in those things that we are doing. We are not repeating that again. So people did install our application, but didn't use it every day. They use it once, 1 week, and the other day it's easier to put it in the garbage. So you have to set a notification. You have people are. They said we need to educate them. Yes, but we need also to remind them everything. And we try to our application to also remind them. it's not a total failure. Its application is still using, but not in the way we were expecting, and we were expecting much higher answer from firstly from the restaurants and the companies, because we know that they have food waste and they're just wasting them in the garbage bin and not using our application because it's complicated. You will do it, the colleague will do it. At the end, no one is doing that. So it's on the first we did have excellent results. Our trucks were full of the food that can be used and the food that is going to be transferred to compost. And now it's like waves. Sometimes you have a good responses. Sometimes we are also reminding them through the application, through the push notifications. We also looking through that. A lot of our application are silenced. So the people don't really see the notification that we are reminding them. So that's what we have learned, and we think that in the future we will try to also send promotional videos to create. We are not trying. We are now working on the promotional videos, on shorts, on short videos through the 1 minute that can be put through the social networks to remind people to use our application. And since here is the manager of the project from our local community company that is for the waste management, I hope that he is on the right panel, so that even once at least one good thing will be from this panel, that they will go maybe through this application and see how the city of Sarajevo, through our help, did try to solve a problem of unused food.
Professor PRAMENKOVIĆ, what are the key challenges facing the Islamic financial sector in adapting to innovation, and how do these differ from conventional financial models?
Well, this is a very grueling question, very tough question, and one of those perplexities that Islamic scholars have been trying to address to the best of their abilities and to offer certain comprehensive solution to these problems. So it goes in the first place without saying that the world's financial industry has been undergoing major transformation since fintech advancements are revolutionizing traditional financial landscape. So under these circumstances, in these settings, Islamic financial industry had to adapt to these innovations while maintaining its religious and ethical moral pillars. Operations of Islamic financial system, in general known, function in adherence with the Islamic Sharia law, which categorically forbids riba, which is interest, and gharar, which is excessive uncertainty or speculation, then darar, which is harm, and tadlis, which is cheating. So in dealing with these innovations, there are a lot of challenges. Of course, it goes beyond the scope of the conference, of the time that I've been allocated to answer the question, to touch upon all these goals, but I will try to maybe single out the most important one for Islamic scholars, apart from, let's say, legislation, which is key in dealing with this issue. So the main challenge faced by Islamic scholars in this field lies that in not having single unified Islamic methodology upon which these innovations can be evaluated or appraised. Another or further challenge is underdeveloped Islamic legal thought. We all know that there are 4 legal schools of thought within Islamic jurisprudence, which is Hanbali, Hanafi, Shafi, Maliki, and they have certain, let's say, differences among themselves in terms of deducing or issuing religious rulings. So which one are we going to use? Which legal school of thought in Islamic we are trying to use? So this is the most, let's say, the most challenging issue. Not existing or lack of methodological framework which will be universally accepted and upon which all these innovations can be appraised or evaluated. So for Islamic scholars, in order to successfully and best address this issue, they have to grasp fully these highly sophisticated tools to implement Islamic principles and Islamic values and ensure that product services are Sharia compliant. So how they can achieve this seemingly evasive goal? In the first place, there is the basic ruling in mu'amalat or in business dealing in Islam is the concept of ibaha, which is concept of permissibility, which is predicated on the idea that these innovations are, or everything is permissible except when there is a clear-cut, like compelling evidence from Quran and Sunnah which forbids that particular innovation. So the principle of permissibility or ibaha allows Muslims to be flexible, to adapt to new changing circumstances, and to learn from different cultures and civilization. It also shows resilience of Islamic legal system. So now we come to the, let's say, the very essence of the question. There are, generally speaking, two methodological approaches in dealing with this issue. There is traditionalist approach, which usually is confined to these four legal schools of thought, and they have their own method, which is predicated on primary source of Quran, which is Quran, primary sources of Islam, which is Quran and Sunnah. Then they have ijma, which is consensus. Then they have qiyad, which is reasoning or analogy. Then they have urf, which is the positive customs of a given society, which doesn't go against the very essence of Islamic preachings and teachings. But this traditional approach doesn't seem to be effective in dealing with technological innovations, which is a separate part of contemporary times, because they are reluctant or they refuse to deviate from reliance on these traditional jurisprudential sources. So it raises the question whether traditional method is capable of dealing with contemporary challenges in new setting. So we are now moving on to the next approach, which is modernist approach. It contains several methodologies. I'm not going to list all of them. I will focus on the most important one, which is maslaha, or common good, or let's say the public interest, which actually enables Islamic legal system to achieve high objectives of Sharia, which is protection of life, of religion, protection of reason, protection of wealth, and protection of progeny. So the concept of maslaha has become important parameter to judge any financial innovation. So there's no perfect, to wrap it up, there's no perfect silver bullet to tackle the issue. It takes combination of different things. Legislation is a key issue, but when it comes to, let's say, what Islamic scholars are grappling with is this methodological framework, which needs to be adopted universally in order to deal with these issues. So this would be a nutshell answer to the question.
Okay, thank you. Professor DOBARDŽIĆ, given that Islamic finance promotes ethical and socially responsible investments, what are the specific financial instruments, such as green sukuk, that can be used to fund circular economy initiatives within the tourism industry?
Yes, as you know now, that name circular economy is very popular in the last few years. Everyone spoke about circular economy and how it used in everyday for the people that cost will be smaller, that you can use, for example, this bottle many times. And I think humanity is actually not honest to themselves, because we have in some situation we use some paper which we can use in circular economy many times, but we also still use plastic. And I think in the global area, actually people and the politicians, creator of the that direction of using circular economy, using materials, recycling, etc. They actually, I will come back 100 years ago when Winston Churchill told that United Kingdom don't have friends, they have only interests. So we are exactly at the peak of the interest which rules in the world, exactly at this time. And when we spoke about circular economy in connection with Islamic finance, and actually why not with Islam, I think that Islam offered to the whole humanity answers on that questions which these civilizations would not given for that. We only don't have right persons on the right positions. We don't have the media cover who will always spoke. For example, Islamic finance. Why not? Because we are now in the period when capitalism actually eats himself, and I think we are on the peak on that time. And if you ask that creators on the global level, what is the answer? He will not say. He will say, okay, make the war. You will develop the war industry. Make the crisis in financial markets. You will be much more richest. But what is the end of that? That we have concentrations of the whole rich of the world in the hand of less than 1% of people. So as you see, in world are changes very fast, very big. We are in the problem because the main players don't want to left their positions because we still live in some kind of colonial status. But as I said, things are dramatically and very fast changes, and Islam could offer to the whole humanity, not because that is Islam, because we have the experience with colleague and professor Rector Bećirović spoke about interest rates and riba. What actually riba give and offer to the whole world? We have only problems. We have financial microcrisis. As I asked Professor Bećirović about Bretton Woods, why? Because before Bretton Woods, we have only one big financial market crisis, that was a Great Depression. After the crash of Bretton Woods, we have more than 10 financial market crises. One of them was also impact of riba or interest rate, because you have now too much money on the supply side to offer to people to spend it. You know, why we will not spend too much money if we don't have possibilities to spend? After crash Bretton Woods, they give the possibility the whole humanity to buy everything which is necessary and which is not necessary. So, as you know, the West countries and West market actually go in that directions. That they are actually create consumer countries and consumer markets, but all of this have the end. On your questions, what we could do, what Islamic finance and that connection between green sukuk or green bonds or social sukuk, social bonds, something similar actually exists in the West countries. The idea is actually that you use that bonds, for example, green sukuk, to invest that money from that funds in especially business which are actually have impact on circular economy. For example, in solar panels, to use the solar energy, not like we use the most carbon, but as I said, we have very big changes on the global level. As you know, when Trump said, come to the second mandate, he said there is a lie about carbon in the area that is not true, and etc. So on the global level, we don't have actually realistic analysis how is danger this way in which all humanity goes, including also using some industries which actually that creators of government through the Europe, US and other developed countries told that for 10, 15 or 12 years we will not have, for example, water for use. they said this is now our war for the oil. In the next 30, 40, maybe less years, we will have the war for the waters. And we don't have actually at this moment answers on that. Most, you know, when you participate for some European project, for example, in the circular economy, in the sustainable jobs, you need to offer them that money you will invest exactly in solar panels. For example, we spoke about Islamic finances, and they have connections with, I worked on some project before 10 years, desalinization, also something that country, Saudi Arabia, I don't know, other Gulf countries have the problems with the water, and that was the idea, how can you transfer the water from Balkan, which have enough water at that moment. In the next 10 years there will be a problem also, and you can compare cost in the process of desalinization and to transport, for example, water from Bosnia to Saudi Arabia. They pay money or they will give the oil. I think that problems about actually circular economy and use some materials many times will have their impact with all these wars which are actually begin, which unfortunately we will maybe expect some more wars, and humanity have that problems not in a circular economy, they have problems with how they can actually that resources which are enough for the whole earth that we can use on the same side. You know, they told that there is too many people in the world. I don't believe that, because one of the researchers told that all the people, if 7 billion lives in Australia, they will have enough food, everything, water, what is necessary for the normal life. So I think that tourism sector, because you asked me about impact of that green sukuk on tourism. Yes, it could be have implications, but only if you put all that money from that funds which get the money from the green bonds, social bonds, are really spent on that projects, and people saw that money really have that implication that, for example, social sukuk or bonds spent on inclusion. Some people which are poor, for example, you know that some money spent on corruption, on other things. And if you lose believers, people who believe that you really spend money in that directions, that they will not have big and also long-term impact on the tourism. But if you are transparency in spending that money in that directions, people will believe in that, and you will also have connectivity and logical connections that touristic some countries. You know that if you go to, for example, Bangladesh, there is too many poor people, and there is actually many factories of the fashion industry from the West are there. If you issued some bonds from social character, and that they will bonds and money from that parts go to the right address, maybe people will spend money and buy and invest actually that money in that fund. So that is, I think, logical connections. Everything is in transparency and is honest. Of course, if you have media covering, if you have right people to spoke about that people who need to hear that something happened, like, you know, from Palestine maybe before 70 years, this problem not will be on these addresses, because people don't know actually what happened in Palestine. But now we have digital, we have media, we have everything what you cover, and you can see what's actually happened on that land. So situation is that direction is better, but we need transparency in spend money. We need not only good idea, as Professor PLOJOVIĆ said. If you don't make success first time, you need to repeat, and to show others that you believe in that objective.
Understood, thank you. Professor ZOGIĆ, you did research on the predominantly Muslim population in the Novi Pazar region. And the region is reluctant to use conventional credit. How can we use mobile technology to create an intuitive and accessible digital platform to educate local entrepreneurs and passive investors, especially from the diaspora?
Yeah, the situation in Novi Pazar and the region, Sandžak region, is very specific. We have the reluctancy from Muslim population to use credits. Also, we have the situation that incomes here, especially the official one, are not at the higher levels. Professor PLOJOVIĆ did many research on this, comparing Novi Pazar to Kraljevo and Čačak, because population-wise we are similar, but if we look at incomes, if we look at salaries and buying power, Čačak and Kraljevo are much more ahead. So even if we want, we are not in the position to use conventional credit so much. But alhamdulillah, we are not using, and we have the, this construction, a lot of buildings here, and these apartments are bought mainly from by diaspora. And this is the resource I think that we are not using enough, because in 2023 the transfers, money transfers from diaspora to Serbia, so we're not talking about Sandžak, we're talking about the whole Serbia, surpassed direct foreign investments. So, because Serbia overall has a very strong diaspora, and Sandžak region, especially Bošnjak national group, has really strong diaspora and diaspora potentials. But we are using these potentials mostly in donations and donation projects. When they come, political parties attend them, NGOs and so on give us some financings, and their assets are mainly dispersed to donation. So we are not thinking how to use that potential, the huge potential that diaspora brings here, to develop business. And the platform that I mentioned is the way. First of all, we should use technology to establish a platform to try to attract, first of all, to educate our diaspora, to motivate them to invest in Sandžak, not to donate or buy houses. Because if they use their financial assets to invest in our startups, we could have the situation to, I would say, to increase the level of business here in Sandžak, and to, how to say, increase the performance of the entrepreneurs, and we could enable our startups to mobilize capital in much efficient way. So this is the, again, we are focusing too much on donations, we are focusing too much on let's say, how to say, high-yearly projects. But I think that we should move our focus when it comes, from a diaspora perspective to invest into businesses. Because if you donate, or there is a quote, if you give somebody fish, you solve him or her one-day problem. But if you teach him or her how to fish, you say you solve the lifetime problem. So we need from our side, because I was in, actually my company is a startup, because it is the second year of my consulting company, but of course, because I'm providing services, I was not in the position to need a lot of assets, to start a business, but for the production, for serious businesses, production, trade, and so on, you need financing, and you need to mobilize the capital. So if we establish a platform where we can match our diaspora with ideas, with startups here, or with young people having ideas, then we can use the full potential of diaspora, and that potential would not be short-term, that potential attention will not be focused only on real estate, because I think that buying so many apartments and investing so much in real estate is communism heritage. I think that we need to bring up more opportunities, and I discussed about this a lot with Professor PLOJOVIĆ and opportunities on the stock markets, index funds, and the gold. People, are not using the opportunities that we have nowadays to buy gold, because it is the price is increasing so rapidly. So, building the platform where can we match our diaspora investors with startup ideas here would be a wonderful project. But of course, it needs to be undertaken by a lot of institutions and I would say managed by a large group of people and institutions.
Okay, thank you for your valuable insights. Now, before we move on to questions from our audience, I myself would like to ask a question. As someone who is on the other side of scope, on the side of those who are not very familiar with this field of study, and all of you have mentioned that it is important to educate our general public on these matters, on Islamic finance and similar things. What do you think? How could we raise awareness and how could we improve our knowledge on these matters? It's actually for all of you, and if someone from the audience wants to ask.
Just one sentence. When we're beginning something, we're beginning from the beginning. So there is a kindergarten, and there we start the education. And that is the best way to have a good future generations. Maybe it's too old for me, but it's not too old maybe it's too late for me, but it's not too late for our children to have a really quality in education and really good approach in creating values. Because when you create values in one person, he will find a way to accomplish its aims. So we need to start from the beginning, and we are doing that in our Pazar to the Islamic community and its organization from the kindergarten. We are missing a good elementary school, but I hope that in the near future we will solve that also.
Okay, thank you.
Well, not concerning particularly my question, my area, but in general sense, as I understood it from you, as I said earlier, there's no perfect way to tackle the issue. It takes a combination of different factors. In the first place, as Professor PLOJOVIĆ mentioned, education institutions is a key. And then I think that policymakers should be also involved in the process, because legislation is something, you can come up with a perfect plan, but if you want to implement it and the legislation doesn't allow you to do so, then you're just handcuffed, like everything goes down the drain. So policymakers, educational institutions, experts from different areas, and also dealing with grassroots level. I believe that, let's say, the public do not have sufficient knowledge about how economics work, Islamic economics in particular. They assume themselves to know, but definitely they confuse, many things. Things are, mixed up with, at least with many of those that I met, I believe that in the first session, some of the panelists came with the idea that, I think that the Dr. Small, he said that the biggest problem that he had in talking about Islamic banking is Islamic economics is with Muslims, It's quite hard to convince them that Islamic banking is not a charity organization. Islamic banks are not a charity organization. They're enterprises that are aimed at actually generating money, not at the max. It's not about maximization of profit at all costs, but in the same way, like, taking into account philosophical, ontological, and ethical, moral consideration and concerns that actually we need to cherish, as a practicing Muslims. So, like, different factors actually lead to maybe the best result.
Teamwork.
Teamwork, definitely.
Teamwork.
Yeah.
Okay, Professor DOBARDŽIĆ.
that could be not only philosophical question, but I think the key word for that is motivation. For every job which you want to done, to be successful in them, not only this area, scientific area, Islamic finances, I don't know, sport, you need to have health motivations. Without that, you cannot give any objective. You know, we spoke about this topic for 7 days, or next year will be other topic. How someone motivate you to come here to learn, to begin from the start, because every beginner is very hard. You know, it's a very small energy. If you give like present some book from Islamic finances, only you need, the hardest thing is to read the first paper. After that is much more easy. Before that you need to have motivation to read it. That depends not only of you, that depends also on that motivator. He is a lecturer, professor, I don't know, who will actually motivate you to read something about that. You know, I am in this job 17 years, and I maybe after a few years, when I finish some courses, I see some people who said, I forget it, unfortunately, but he said, you motivated me, and I choose, for example, I don't know, medicine. You know, I don't know what I told, but I told to him something, and after that he thinking. But on other side, we have very big, I will say, I don't think on this university, on the whole educational system, that we actually creating people for workers. That is wrong paradigm. This university changed it. Private universities are now better in that. Why? Because we don't teach people to have creative thinking, to be entrepreneur. And if you can compare today who are the richest people in the world, most of them are actually don't finish the academic studies. Most of them. From the Microsoft, I don't know, from the Steve Jobs, he's not alive, passed away. Others, nobody of them don't finish academic studies. So it's some kind of thing that they know maybe what actually learn there. You have, for example, in Switzerland, I read before 10 days, some elite schools, they actually, the kids of the richest fathers are only have educated for be leaders, nothing else. They are actually promoting leaders to lead to others, students and graduate students who are actually expected when finished faculties to work for the monthly salary. That's wrong. So I think that, as I spoke in the previous question, we need a reset in the whole monetary system and the whole capitalism, because it is now in the sick phase, terminal phase. We also need very big changes, which will be start for the new, I don't know, new period of maybe for 10 years, that will much more develop creative thinking, and the people will, after finishing studies, like Harris told, create their startup companies. Okay, if you don't make a success, you will make some other times, but you need to risk. So the key word is for everything motivation.
Basically shifting our mentality also.
Mentality, yes. Yes, I agree.
Thank you. And Professor ZOGIĆ.
I'll try to be short. So this is one of the ways, you know, we are trying to educate people. We are bringing the biggest experts from all parts of the world. Myself, I am conducting a lot of activities in educating people about Islamic finance, about investments, how to invest Islamic index funds, how to conduct Islamic finance in every day, and you know, it's a long-term process, and not only in Islamic finance. You know, if you go to real business here in Novi, Pazar, and Sanjak, you will see that we are still cash based. You know, I mean, we are undertaking our operations by cash mostly. So this means that there is a huge gap between the developed economies, financially wise, and our current situation. So
that is the price of freedom.
yeah, or the danger that we are in. So actually, I would like to say that this is the way. So now we are going to organize this conference every year. We are going to raise the awareness of Islamic finance. We are going to attract different groups of people, students, businessmen, professors, and all others, citizens, to learn about Islamic finance or to just raise the interest about this topic. So just what I hate to hear is that, you know, to do some business or to invest or to, you know, undertake some serious business projects, okay, we need roads, we need a highway. So to implement Islamic finance, oh, we need Islamic bank. So for everything we have justification. So I don't want to wait for the highway. I don't want to wait 10 or 5 to 10 years, or I don't want to wait until some Islamic banks come here. I want to implement it now. I want to, let's say, use all my potential or our potential to implement. At this stage, this is just the education, but inshallah later we will have some implementation process as well.
And now we'd like to hear from our audience. If you have some questions, feel free to
Our
ask.
audience is tired.
I just wanted to add something as well to Dr. Almir. It's regarding, you know, or answering as well your question. We have to understand the concept of virality. Now there are a lot of wars happening to gain our attention. Unfortunately, we are still using an outdated language on how we can, you know, interfere in changing awareness or bringing awareness and cognitive understanding of the population. So we have to really decipher and understand what is, you know, how we can load the ideas of Islamic finance and Waqf, for example, in my case, into like a viral, something that becomes attractive for people to really click on and follow. Unfortunately, sometimes our language doesn't really, you know, relate to people around us. And when we speak, you know, when we go to conferences, we use, you know, a very high and sophisticated language, and not everyone would be interested in that level. So we need to really look into multiple tools that we need in order to really make it implant the idea of Islamic finance into the heads of our children from kindergarten all the way to you know, to university level. So we don't want to wait and become too late in order to convince people that, okay, guess what, Islamic finance is good. But when they already shaped their understanding about the world. So this was my contribution.
Okay. It seems that we have come to the end of our panel. I want to express my gratitude to our panelists and, of course, to you for your attention. We hope this discussion has sparked further reflection and discussion. Again, thank you and enjoy the rest of your day. Good night.